Does your beautiful salmon fillet go into the pan perfectly intact, only to come out broken apart, burnt, and unpleasantly dry? Don't put your next piece of salmon in the pan until you know this. Hi friends, Nancy here. If you're new to cooking salmon, don't worry. You don't need fancy equipment or complicated techniques. A few small choices can make a big difference, and the first one happens before you even turn on the stove. The salmon is ready, so let's start with the first mistake I want you to avoid. Some people bring salmon home and rinse it under running water. Don't think that washing the fish is cleaning it, because when you buy salmon in individual pieces like this, it has already been thoroughly prepared. You really don't need to do that. But whether your salmon has just been taken out of the package or you've already rinsed it, don't put it in the pan while the surface is still wet. Look at what I'm doing instead. Take a few clean paper towels and gently pat the salmon dry, especially the skin, until there's almost no moisture left on the surface. Don't rub it or press too hard. Just pat, turn, and pat again. This little step makes a bigger difference than you might think. A dry surface browns more beautifully, helps the skin turn crisp instead of soft, reduces splattering, and gives the salmon a much better chance of releasing cleanly from the pan. Simple, right? And we're not done drying just yet. Now that the salmon is nice and dry, don't make the next common mistake, salting it and sending it straight to the pan. I used to do that too because honestly, 10 minutes can feel unnecessary when dinner is waiting. But give the salt a little time to work. Sprinkle it evenly over the salmon, then let the fish rest for about 10 minutes. During that short wait, the salt draws some excess moisture to the surface and helps bring out more of the salmon's natural savory umami flavor. You'll actually see tiny beads of moisture appear. That's exactly what we want. Take another clean paper towel and gently pat the fish dry again, especially the skin. Then if your salmon has skin, make 1 or 2 very shallow cuts across it. This helps keep the skin from shrinking and curling too much in the pan. Just keep those cuts light. We want to control the skin not cut into that lovely fatty flesh underneath. Now our salmon is finally ready for the heat. Next, let's move on to the part that used to give me the most trouble. I would put my stainless steel pan on the stove, add oil almost immediately, and lay the salmon right in. Then without thinking, I'd place the pretty flesh side down first. It felt natural. A minute later, I'd try to lift it, feel it sticking, and panic a little. I'd pull harder, and there went my beautiful salmon breaking apart in the pan. If that sounds familiar, here's what changed everything for me. Give your stainless steel pan enough time to heat before adding the oil. Remember that little water drop test. When a drop of water beads up and glides around the pan, instead of disappearing right away, the pan is ready. Wipe away the water, add a thin layer of oil, and coat the surface. And remember, we want a properly heated pan, not a smoking hot one. Now place the salmon skin side down, not flesh side down. I know the flesh side looks like it should go first. But trust me on this one. Starting with the skin gives the fish a sturdier surface against the heat and helps protect the tender flesh. If the skin curls, gently press it down for a few seconds, then let go. And now comes the hardest part for someone curious like me: leave it alone. Don't slide it around, peek underneath every few seconds, or force it up with your spatula. Let the skin set and brown. When the salmon is ready, it will begin to release naturally from the pan. That's your little sign to flip. Sometimes the best thing we can do for dinner is simply stop fussing with it. Once the salmon releases from the pan on its own and you can flip it cleanly, the hardest part is behind us. But don't relax too much just yet, because these last few minutes still decide whether the salmon stays juicy or turns dry. From here, I only want you to remember two small things. First, don't turn up the heat just to get dinner on the table faster. Salmon doesn't need a screaming hot pan. Too much heat can burn the outside while the center is still cooking, and that tender flesh can dry out quickly. Medium heat is plenty. Let the fish cook gently and give it a little time. Tell me honestly, are you patient with salmon, or are you reaching for the spatula every 30 seconds? I promise I won't judge. And one more thing, save the butter and finishing seasonings for the end. Once the salmon is cooked, turn off the heat, add a little butter and a few drops of soy sauce. Then spoon that warm, fragrant mixture over the top. See, gentler, simpler, and much tastier. Now, let's place these two pieces of salmon side by side, because this is where you can really see how much all those little steps made a difference. Take a look at the piece we rushed through. The flesh is dry and firm, and when I try to cut into it, it almost crumbles instead of separating into soft, juicy flakes. And what about the skin? It looks cooked, but it is still tough and chewy to the point that the knife has to work much harder than it should. Now look at this piece. The skin is crisp enough to cut through cleanly while the flesh underneath is still tender, moist, and juicy. See how easily those flakes separate when I lift them with a fork? That is exactly what we want. If this were your dinner tonight, which piece would you rather see on your plate? I think I already know the answer. And the best part is that these two pieces of salmon did not require two completely different recipes. The difference came down to just a few small choices, less moisture on the surface, better heat control, and a little more patience while standing at the pan. You know, salmon looks a little fancy on the dinner table, but cooking it really doesn't have to feel fancy at all. A little patience and a gentler touch can take you a long way. I hope your next salmon dinner makes you smile before you even take the first bite. If you enjoyed cooking with me today, please like, share, and come back to my kitchen again soon.